Hello and welcome. Hello.
What is this crazy rock and roll music anyway?
It's a blast from the past.
You're gonna be okay, kid. You're gonna be okay.
Hit the record button. Let the dancing begin.
It's like a breath of fresh air.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
Hey, BassGeek here, and as you can already tell, we're going to recap the BFL Regional on Kerr Reservoir. So I know in my last BFL recap video, I know I told you that I didn't make the regionals. I actually got in as a provisional. I guess enough people decided that they weren't going to go, and I wasn't very far out of 50th, and it opened the door for me to be able to fish as a co-angler in the BFL Regional on Kerr Reservoir. Now, that being said, I'm going to give you a rundown. I left. It was about a five and a half hour trip from where I live at down to Henderson, North Carolina, which is where I stayed. It's a 3-day regional tournament. You qualify for the last day. Everybody fishes the first two. I got down on a Wednesday. The tournament started on a Thursday. And I fished Thursday and Friday. I didn't qualify. The top 15 boaters and the top 15 co-anglers qualified for day 3. Unfortunately, I did not. I did catch fish. I will go over what seemed to be working best for me. Unfortunately, all my fish were small. Seems to be plaguing me right now during tournament time. So to give you a quick rundown of how everything went, got to Henderson at about 3 o'clock, got everything put in my hotel room, had to be at registration. Registration is mandatory and these meetings are mandatory. Got to registration at about 6 o'clock. Registered, left for just a few minutes and 8, came back. The meeting was at 7. And the meeting was over sometime around 8:15. The pairings were announced, and so I got in contact with my first boater, and we decided where we were going to meet and what time, of course, as you need to always do the night before. And, you know, kind of asked my boater what he was going to be fishing. He was going to be fishing backs of pockets. The one bait that seemed to produce best for me was a finesse swim bait. This is a Kitech. I've got it rigged on a 1/2 ounce ledge head lure. I caught 5 bass on this bait. There was just a small amount, maybe 4 to 6 inches of very light grass on the bottom of this lake in the depth ranges that we were fishing. And so what I did is I would throw this bait out into the shallows and work it down and just kind of tick those grass tops, and that seems to be what got me bit for the most part. The other was the trusty drop shot. I caught one very small fish on that, throwing it around logs and brush piles, and it was the shad-shaped worm in Natural Shad by Gary Yamamoto. The first day we were fishing some fairly clear water in the pockets that we were fishing close to the dam, and you know, it produced a fish or two. I didn't stick with it very much. It seemed the bigger bites were coming on the swim bait, and I was just getting bit a lot more on the swim bait. Day 1 for me, we pulled into our first pocket. My boater caught his only keeper of the day. We both caught 3 fish a piece out of that pocket. So we really thought it was going to be Katie bar the door for the rest of the day, but it just didn't pan out for us. The more we fish, the less we seemed to catch. As the day went on, the bite went away for us. Day 1, there was a hurricane moving into Florida while we were fishing this tournament, and we were getting some residual winds, and it was really rough. I know I didn't get to practice. I had some buddies that had went down the day before, and I know they said it was horrible on, I think it was Wednesday, as I was traveling. It wasn't much better on Thursday. It was really choppy. It was a really rough boat ride. My boater did a great job of driving. But, in situations like that, there's not a whole lot you can do in big water with heavy winds. So day 2, I was teamed up with another gentleman. He had told me the night before that we were going to be fishing extremely fast. So, of course, my thought was crankbaits, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, it was so hard to fish a square bill with just that little 4 to 6 inches of grass. You were always hanging up. It was extremely annoying. I moved away from that. Fished the swim bait a little, but that swim bait I couldn't put enough weight on it to be able to move as fast as he was wanting to move. So the bait that I went with, and I was, as soon as I picked this bait up and tied it on, we immediately, I started getting bites. I don't know the jig, the manufacturer of this jig actually, but this is a Kitech, and it is in green pumpkin shad. It was a really good color. As you can see, I've got some sexy shad on here. I wanted to go with something that was a little more natural for the swim bait. That's a 4.8 inch, so it really gives you some good roll as you're fishing it. And I was doing the same sort of thing with this bait that I was doing with the swim bait. This is a 1/2 ounce, but with the Kitech on, it was a little heavier, so I could move it a little faster. Now, I will say I had several big bites on day 2. I was fishing this down a log in probably 2 foot of water. A solid 2.5, 3 pound came out and hit it. I was behind it and never could get a good hook set on it, so that fish I lost. I flipped it into a dock a little bit later in a little muddier water, and I had a very nice, what I believe to be a 4 to 5 pounder come up and spit it back out at me. And then a little later we were on a point, and I was ticking some rocks with it and set the hook on what I thought was going to be a very nice, at least again in the 2 to 3 pound bass. And I don't know what happened. It's just like it opened its mouth and spit it out at me. Me and my boater were both very confused as to what happened, because I got about as good as a hook set on it as you could get. So I just wanted to do a real quick rundown. It was an honor to get to go fish the regional. This was my first season fishing as a co-angler, my first season fishing BFLs, and I want to say thanks to FLW. They really do a great job with these tournaments. It's been a dream of mine for a long time to fish the BFLs, and this is the first step in hopefully me in the next year or two fishing as a boater. As for next season, I don't know yet if I'll be fishing as a co-angler or if I just won't be fishing the BFLs next year. I do plan on fishing as a boater in 2018 if all goes well, but what I may do is take a season off as a co-angler, practice on some of the lakes that we generally fish out of the volunteer division. I've got a few things I can use my entry fees for to get right on my boat. Some seats, if you guys watch me a lot, and the carpet on my boats needs to be updated. I'd hate for my co-angler to trip over some loose carpet and fall out of the boat in the back. I'd feel awful. To change my mindset from boater to non-boater, I'll do a season recap later on, and I'll really go through that sort of mindset change that you have to go through. And really that didn't happen for me until really the last 2 tournaments of the season. I really feel like I'll be more prepared, that I'll have a right mindset, and I understand the difference between fishing as a boater and fishing as a non-boater going into next year. So if I do fish the BFLs, I do expect to do better. As always, guys, I love your comments. Keep them coming. Questions, keep them coming. We are doing a live stream Thursday at 8 o'clock. I hope you guys will join in. We can talk about the tournaments more in depth and how to get you guys out and fishing some tournaments. Even if you don't have a boat, the BFLs are a great place to start and learn. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and you guys rock.